Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Many of us believe in astrology, how the planets rule us, and that's all great. I love what she does because she takes it layers deeper, because she has a psychological background. So she's a psychological astrologer. She goes deeper to the core of relationships. And let's face it, we're social creatures. Relationships are very important to all of us. How come they don't work out? How come there's conflicts from time to time? Maybe it's coming from the planets. So we're going to talk with her today about that and so much more. Carmen Turner Schott is back with us. Welcome. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me back. I'm glad that it's now December and, just came out of the holidays. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and it's this energy, astrology's energy. And, there's so much that changes every month. I do a little astrological update every month, and I'm looking here. So today's December 1st, and the planet Mercury of communication is moving into the sign Capricorn. So Capricorn's all about business and, being, making money and kind of thinking about their own career goals and things like that. So our mind, we're going to be thinking about that more, our goals, our career success, communicating more about what we really want and being a little bit more practical, more realistic, more business oriented thinking and thoughts right now. And that's going on. And then the problem is Mercury's going to go retrograde again, which is our favorite thing, on December 13th. But we're already feeling it because, we have that shadow period, which I feel like it's already going on right now because we're already going to be the second week of the month. So it's here. So if you're feeling just a little irritable and communication's a little bit difficult, maybe a little bit misunderstandings, miscommunication, or people kind of shocking you with communication, like not communicating things you felt they should, and just kind of catching you off guard, and people from the past coming back, old issues coming back, and just lots of miscommunications, people not getting emails, people not getting phone calls or complaining about things. It's a frustrating energy. And when Mercury is blocked, the planet of communication, which communication's everything. I'm already feeling it at work this week. I've had several things happen, and I had to laugh. I'm like, I think Virgos and Geminis, we feel it more because this planet rules our sign. It's our ruler.
When we talk about the retrograde and the Mercury retrograde, which is on the 13th, it's to begin.
Yes.
I got the period. By the way, this one ends on January 1st. Can't forget that.
I know.
I'm challenged by the pre-phase, the post-phase, because I like to think, well, it's 3 weeks and it's here and it stops, but it's not.
No.
And I'm challenged with things that, like, for example, let's say you have an elective surgical procedure.
Sure.
And you want to pick a date for it. Now, I would stay away from, this is me personally, during the retrograde. Plus, it's necessary. That's different. But before the retrograde, would that be okay? Like a week or two before or a week or two after? Same thing with like starting something new. That's always been said, don't do it during the retrograde. Well, what about if you've already started a relationship, a business relationship, but you haven't started the actual beginning, but you are going to during the retrograde, but you already had the conversation beforehand? What's the parameters there? Because that's my gray territory.
Yeah, no, exactly right. What happens is, we say that as long as you've already been planning, thinking, talking about, maybe even, just discussing plans, even if it's like going to buy a house, buy a car, you've already been pondering these things before the retrograde, then that's a good thing. And if you needed surgery and you knew, but the only time the surgeon can do it, but you've been told, for the past year, you've known you needed surgery. A lot of times things come to fruition during a Mercury retrograde. So things that you have been putting off often end up having to be addressed. So that makes sense. you know, that a surgery would be during Mercury retrograde. Sometimes a baby, people, you know, plan to have their, like someone called me once and they were upset because they wanted to have a C-section. It was scheduled and they were going to do it. They had to do it during a retrograde because the doctor had no other time. And I'm like, well, have you been talking about it prior? Oh yeah, we knew from the beginning of pregnancy I had to have a C-section. I said, then you're good. You're good. And it was my neighbor and the baby's fine. You know, so I said, yeah, you're fine because it's something that has already been discussed.
Okay.
But it'd be like, yeah, like right now, if I get a call, I don't know the person, they're like, hey, I got this business idea for you. You know, we got to sign the paperwork right now though, you know, for you to get this. I wouldn't recommend because there's too much that can change because we're in this retrograde energy, this funky energy. I'd say, well, let me think about it. Can I wait a little bit and think? Because you don't want to jump into things that are brand new that you haven't got to think about and plan a little bit. Because this is not a good time to make any formal things because there's tends to be miscommunication or misperception. Let me say that. You know, everyone perceives things a different way. And even if you have a contract or, you know, you don't read the fine print or you're like, well, they said this, but that's not really what it was. That kind of thing can happen. And you're like, wait a minute. And then you just laugh because you're like, total miscommunication, you know, okay, that's not what we meant. That happens during the retrograde a lot. So I always suggest if it's something that, like, if you've been writing a book, you've been wanting to hire someone new, right? And you've been planning this. It's a good time now during Mercury retrograde for you to start getting those things done because you're going to have this energy of finishing old projects, old things that you've been wanting to get done. So if you've been procrastinating, this is the perfect time to do all the things that you've been putting off. And I was looking forward to this kind of, in a way, I look forward to Mercury retrograde because I know it's going to give me the kick in the pants and give me the energy to do the things I've been putting off. Like I have a book that I want to write and I have been avoiding it and I need to start writing and I have not been able to. I've been blocked. So now I'm starting to feel like, okay, I'm going to write and I've been feeling like, okay, and I've been making time each day and it's kind of flowing better. It's still not fully flowing, but you know, I'm making use of the energy. Let me just say that you can tap into it. And
why would the retrograde give you or anybody a kick to move things forward?
Because it's all those things that you haven't done. It's going to be on your mind and you're going to be like, you're going to want to get organized. It's like this feeling of wanting to just get things done and efficient. It's like that Mercury Virgo energy, getting things accomplished. Okay. Like you're going to be blocked with new ideas and new things, but you're going to be focused on the things that you've been not getting done. And so you can't really do new things right now. You're not going to be motivated. You're gonna be like, okay, I was supposed to clean the closet out. I'm supposed to put the Christmas tree up. I need to go get Christmas presents, right? You know, that kind of stuff, which you've been putting off. And now everyone's going to be, you know, wanting to get all those things done, their checklist, you know, all of that. And people tell me it's really weird. You know, people from the past often come back into our lives too, or past issues. If you've had some kind of issue with a family member, just happened to me yesterday. You know, I'm not going to say with who, but got into a little argument on the phone with a family member about Christmas, about something really silly. But it was the same thing always every year in the same issue, right? When we're going to do it and all this stuff. And I just was real vocal and blunt and said, why is it always around their schedule, right? And I was just like, we have lives too, you know, and we had this little butt heads and you know, let's say my mother, I'll go and say my mother and I kind of had a little argument and I said, I love you, but I don't agree with this and I'll talk to you later. I just had to get off the phone. And it was like that communication, you know, she totally misinterpreted what I said too. And she got real emotional with it. And I said, Mom, that's not what I said. This is what I said. I feel this way. I'm not blaming you, but so this is what's happened already. I'm having to explain myself like to everyone because they're taking offense. Like they're taking emotional offense.
Yes.
That's
it's
Mercury
true. It's almost as if you want to say, you're not getting it. I didn't say that. You're not understanding what I'm saying. Yes. I'm making it very clear. Hello, just it's not getting in. Yeah.
my husband came out. He said, "What on earth was that about?" Because he heard me arguing on the phone. I said, "She didn't even hear what I was saying. I don't know." I said, "I really don't know." And then I just was like, "I'm not talking to anyone. I'm not calling anyone. I'm not texting anyone. I'm just like hiding out for a little while now."
Okay, this sounds like it's classic Mercury retro pre-phase,
Pre-phase.
retrograde pre-phase.
Oh my gosh.
Ah,
Yes. I am just like, it went in a really different way than I was expecting. And I thought, I just laughed. Freaking Mercury retrograde. I mean, every time. And I think it's funny though, because it's such a science to me now. Like I know it's real, and people at work, people come to me and they'll say, "What is going on?" And I'm like, "Well, this is what's going on. It's Mercury retrograde." And they're like, "Well, everyone's fighting with me, or they didn't, not understanding what I said, or like it's so evident. Sometimes it's
hmm.
really kind of scary how in your face some of these issues happen." And you're like,
Well, that one's, I don't want to say, I don't minimize anything, but that's classic, what
yeah,
you're saying there. And I think I had the same situation with somebody today, started yesterday, ended today, a relationship, work relationship.
yeah, yeah,
And after hearing their viewpoint, which was totally off base, I'm fine with it. It's like I feel like the energy, and it came out of nowhere. I feel like the energy is like, ah, okay, all right. So let's pick up the pieces and move forward in a different direction, and all good. Now you
yeah,
do these astrological forecasts. What
yeah.
are you seeing? Maybe even for the month of December, in terms
Sure,
of course, we have the holidays. Let's move that out
sure.
of what could be coming our way in terms of, let's say, abundance, relationships.
Mhm.
Can you do a broad on that, or is it really sign specific, meaning that okay, for Sagittarius it's this, but it's not going to be that for Capricorn, that kind of thing?
Yeah, well, the transits of what's going on will affect all of us, but you're right.
Okay.
It will affect each of us a little differently depending on our birth chart. Because what we do is we put that transit chart, which is the picture of the sky right now, on top of your birth chart. And we can see, okay, this area of life is being affected so for instance, like right now, we just Mercury just entered Capricorn. So we all are feeling that. But we have to see, where is Mercury transiting your life? Is it in the partnership house, the seventh house right now? And then there's business discussions. That means that area of life is going to be the focus. Is Mercury and Capricorn in the home house, the fourth house? That means you may be having to think about fixing up the home, bills, projects that are going to cost you money, in a practical necessities that need to be cleaned up in the home. So wherever Mercury is in our chart is how we think. It's how we communicate. Everyone has a sign, their Mercury in a different sign, or so Virgo, Mercury's our ruler. We call every sign has a planetary ruler, and that's where they get their personality traits. So for us, we're Virgos, but our Mercury's, my Mercury is also in Virgo. But I think your Mercury might be in Virgo too. Now I'm thinking about it. And then you've got Venus in Libra. So I think, everyone has a different Mercury. So for instance, Mercury in Aries, they're straightforward, blunt, direct. They say what they think. Mercury and Cancer people a little bit more shy, a little bit more vulnerable and private. They don't always share what they think until they trust you, or if they're in their home and you're a close family member. So our Mercury sign and house that it's in our birth chart affects how we communicate. But right now in the world, wherever Mercury is, it plays a part in how we're feeling in communications. And so that's why when it's retrograde, or when it's in, just went into Capricorn, it's intense. And so this whole month, the biggest thing affecting us is communication, and also adventure, like a sense of freedom.
Mm.
This is so I would say abundance, actually, really, because there's a Sagittarius is the energy we're in, which is ruled by the planet Jupiter, and that's the planet of abundance, of good luck, good fortune. So that's why I was saying in my last forecast last month that December we would start feeling better, because in October, November, we were in this heavy Scorpio. Water sign. Scorpio is deep, emotional, jealous, possessive, powerful energy. And now we're into this more lighthearted Sag, which is the free spirit, the person that loves knowledge. They love to learn. They're friendly, they're social, they're on the go, they're on the move, they love to travel. So we have that abundant energy and that Sag positivity going on, because this month is, Sag energy, which is all about being optimistic, allowing abundance into our life, being grateful and having gratitude for the things that are going well. Because Sages are known to always look at the bright side of things. Well, that might suck, and they'll tell me, but at least you have a paycheck. I got all these Sag friends, like, well, it could be worse, and you just got to do the best you can. They're always really positive and try to help you, especially, the ones I work with and friends that I have. I got a ton of Sages around me, and they're all the same. And I always know, are you a December Sag? And they're always like, yep, like I knew it, because they just are very blunt and straightforward, because they're a fire sign, but they're kind and they're compassionate. So yes, this month is a lot of energy with relationships, and there's karma going on there. Indies.
Let's before we continue, I want to, you said karma. There's a lot of karma going on there.
Karma, yes.
So what do you mean by that with relationships?
Yes. So for right now, the nodes of the moon are in Aries and Libra, and they were in Taurus and Scorpio. Okay. And that lasted for about 2 years. So I think it was about 6 months ago, the nodes switched over, and Aries and Libra are the karmic relationship nodes. So everyone in the world right now is experiencing the energy of these karmic issues coming up for us that involve relationships with other people, love relationships, partnership. Libra rules the 7th house and so it's all about your partner, your business partners as well, not just love, but everything that is karmic. Things from the past, from past lives, from this life are going to come up, and there can be a lot of endings of relationships. People walking away, divorce, separation, or just ending friendships, or just kind of, maybe growing apart, just naturally. It kind of does its course, and you kind of feel like, whoa, it kind of came out of the blue. But then when you think about it, yeah, it was kind of stagnant and it was kind of done. I think it's ready for a new start. And so you're kind of able to let people go and not have hard feelings, because this is all about balancing the karma of who's supposed to be in our life, and then what goals and what are our selfish goals. Like, what do we want? This is what these nodes are about, thinking about what we want versus what other people want. And so we're all in this, feeling this right now. I see it in every area of my life. What do I want with my work and career, my coworkers and my colleagues? And it's not living up to what I'm expecting here, and I'm getting frustrated because I'm like, why can't people just treat me the way I'm treating them? And so there's this energy. Then with my family, I have it happen to there too. I'm like, just last night. And so I'm like, why can't people talk normal like I am and listen and not take offense and get so emotional and then bring up stuff that had nothing to do with what I was saying? And it's like they just go down the rabbit hole, and I'm like, I'm just trying to talk about this one thing, that's it. And so it's the challenge right now for everyone. And I'm hearing it could be through work, through your relationships, your children, because everyone our life is a relationship, everyone. Sure. And
now, you've said before, communication is,
oh yeah,
like now communication is going to be wonky. Of course, you got retrograde and the nodes that we spoke about.
Yeah.
Compared to like a couple of months ago, where there was even more going on because we had multiple planet retrogrades happening and other stuff. Where are we now? Let's talk about communication and relationships, because that's we kind of centered on. Where are we here compared to a couple of months ago? Let's say a couple of months ago would be, we're in a 9 being 10 being crazy.
Yeah.
Where would you put now on a 10 scale?
I'd say we're about a 5.
All right. That's comforting.
All right. we're in the middle, because what happened was, when we were talking about how a couple shows ago was so intense, Mars was in Scorpio. And then remember, that's when all this stuff was happening in the world. And Mars moved into Sagittarius last month in November. And that was a release in a way because it's in an easier sign, but it's still hard. Mars in any sign is not easy typically because it's the planet of conflict. It's a planet of battle and war and selfish desires and passion and drive and anger, right? So wherever it is, it's gonna expose that area of life. So, but Mars is in Sag, the sun is in Sag, so all of that is a lighter energy. And then relationship wise, we always want to look at where's Venus. So Venus is moving into the sign Scorpio on December 4th, which is just a couple of days from now. And that's going to be a focus on deepening relationships. And it's also going to be a focus on seeing through the illusion and fakeness of relationships. So if something is not deep and healing and supportive and loyal and real, and if a relationship isn't truthful and honest and the partner isn't, and there's any doubt about loyalty or commitment, Venus and Scorpio is going to make people cut ties. They're going to end relationships because Scorpios don't play around. Scorpios want all or nothing. You love them, you're 1% with them, or you're not. Like, and
because Scorpio is impacted, it doesn't matter what sign you are saying that in the next couple of days, it's going to be showtime in terms of
affecting all of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Venus is entering Scorpio. It's going to be affecting all of our love natures, how we're feeling in love and relationships. And we're going to be feeling Scorpio-like. Which is going to be, psychic, perceptive, also a little bit cautious. And
I was just going to, you, I don't know if you're vibing, reading my mind. I was just going to say that in terms of the intuition, seems like it's up. And somebody who is intuitive told me couple of months ago that if you look at energy, my third eye isn't good. It's just it's clogged up. They try to clear it out through energy healing, and it's just like your third eye isn't what it should be. However, like some people can have a grip on the future. Like, I get a feeling what's going to happen. They say that I don't do that. However, I make up for it with my keen sense of spotting BS.
Yes.
So what you're just saying there is like, oh boy. So I think my radar is going to be of what's around, reevaluating what's around, if people are true.
Yes. You're going to sense people's energy. When Venus isn't, when you have Scorpio rules the 8th house, which you have 8th house energy. That's the Phoenix energy. Resurrection, rebirth, transformation, psychologically perceptive kind of energy. So and also sexuality, Venus and Scorpio is going to make people want to have intimacy, deep, and it's not going to be surface like, oh, let's just have fun and have a one night stand. No, this is like, if we're going to be together, you got to be committed to me and no one else. Like this is kind of the shift with Venus into Scorpio. Like Venus and Sag, they're all about, let's be free and I don't want to commit to anyone. Let's just be friends,
Bad time if you're a player. It's go hide somewhere for a while. It's not going to be good. We're out of time. This is fascinating. I love talking about this stuff. It is in one way unnerving, but in another way exciting to know what's coming our way, how to navigate around that, the feelings and everything. I know you've got a lot of great books and all of that. If anybody wants to go a little bit deeper, read the books. However, even for readings, a transit chart, you're not a fortune teller. This is astrology. It is a science. It's your timeline of life. And Carmen is just somebody that shows you what's coming next in that timeline. It's already been determined by the planets. And I've learned it. It's the real deal. You are the real deal. I can spot BS, and you are the real deal. Your website's Carmen Turner Schott, right? .com.
.com. Perfect. Yeah.
Yep. SCHOTT, CarmenTurnerSchott.com. Well, I'm feeling better that we're in a better mode than we were a couple of
Yes.
months ago.
This is much lighter energy. The energy's lighter. We just got to focus on that. I mean, it's not perfect. There's still some things going on. We have some retrograde still affecting us, but Neptune goes direct this month, and that's great. And so that's going to help. So a lot of those retrogrades are starting to spin normally again, all those planets we talked about. But Mercury, I always say there's good and bad with Mercury retrograde. So the good is accomplish the things you've been putting off, get things done that you haven't finished, that they're half started. Go ahead, and if you've been planning something and and you're just been waiting and you've already been, plotting it, you're probably going to have a good energy to get it done. You might get a job offer. If you already applied for a job 6 months ago, typically you'll get offered a new job when Mercury's retrograde. That happened to me all my life.
However,
it was retrograde. I'm like, oh, I finally got the job, but Mercury's retrograde. Weird,
But don't take the job. Don't start the job.
Don't start it
during the retrograde.
Yeah, you can take it, but don't start your first day.
Right. Yeah.
It's so cool though how it happens. Like even with one of my book contracts, I was waiting and it'd been a plan. You write a proposal, and then when they came back to me, they told me I got a contract, and what do you know, Mercury was retrograde. So sometimes Mercury retrograde brings
it's a good
things.
things. Yeah.
It does. It
All
does.
Right. That's encouraging.
Yeah, both sides. Yeah.
Carmen, thank you so much. Always great talking with you.
You too. Thank you.
All right. We'll talk soon.
Okay.
Coming right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.